In the last podcast, we spoke a bit about personal loss, and we want to talk about grief a bit more in this one. Now, no, we are not here to give advice. We just want to share our journey on how we dealt with grief and how we are still dealing with it.
There's this quote by Andrew Garfield.
I love talking about it, by the way. So if I cry, it's only it's only a beautiful thing. This is all the unexpressed love, right? The grief that will remain with us, until we pass, because we never get enough time with each other, right? No matter if someone lives till 60, 15, or 99. So I hope this grief stays with me, because it's all the unexpressed love that I didn't get to tell her, and I told her every day. We all told her every day. She was the best of us.
Honestly, when I first heard this quote, I didn't think it would resonate with me so much, and I would, feel it so much and so strongly. This is a quote, that he said on, I think, a Tonight Show or a Late Night Show episode, and it related with me more because he said it about his mom. I recently lost my mom in 2022 due to health complications that she had. And honestly, I was 25 when I lost her. I'm 28 now. It's been 2.5 years. And I still haven't been able to comprehend it. I also recently lost my godmother, who's like a second mother to me, and both of these losses have hit so close to home for me. And when I lost my mom, honestly, I couldn't believe it for a very long time, even though it was something that I knew it might happen. It's something that people say this, right? It's going to happen sometime, someday, somewhere along. But when it still happens, it hits you so strongly. There were days where I simply could not function. I think for like a very long time after that, the sofa and me were one person. There was only 1 or 2 times I used to get off the sofa. It's to either go for a bath or eat some food, and I'd come back straight to the sofa. I don't know why, but she used to love that sofa quite a lot. She was very prideful of that sofa, and that sofa was very comforting for me, at that one point of time. There was such a big void in my life, and honestly, if I didn't have the people that I have today and that I had that time around me, I would have not been able to even still cope with it. It was so difficult. And when I lost my godmother in 2024, that was something completely unexpected for me. I did not expect it. I did not think about it. I was like, it just happened. She was here one day and she was literally gone the next. I still sometimes can't, fathom that she's not here with me. Whenever I visit her place, I just expect her to come out of the bedroom and be like, I've made Hyderabadi dal for you. I know it's your favorite. And it's just, it was her love language, You remember
Food.
her. Food
Yeah.
was her comfort, her love language. She used to, there was a beaming smile on her face, Ryan, whenever Sam and I used to be there and we are eating wholeheartedly, and she sees us eating, and she had the biggest smile on her face. She used to absolutely love it. And
She used to always order Chinese, like
Punjabi
some chaat for us. And there was one particular thing called Punjabi bhel that she used to order for us. So, yeah.
it's so difficult, sometimes.
So, was your godmother like old, or was she young?
No, so both my mom and my godmother, my mom was in her 50s, she was like 55. My godmother was somewhere about 60, I guess, 60,
Yeah.
closer to 60. So not like very old or something, still young for her age, I would say.
I don't know. I have a different approach. All right. So the only major loss I have experienced till now is my grandfather, who passed away when I was somewhere in my 12th standard. So maybe 16 years of age. Maybe I was immature at that point of time, but the coping mechanism I developed was to just realize that everybody has to pass somewhere. Now, I'm not belittling your sorrows over here, but it's just what I have in my brain. Maybe it was that um, it was a coping mechanism that my brain had to develop at that point of time to make sure that I did not
Shut
crumble.
down, yeah.
Exactly, that not crumble, but I have kept that coping mechanism active with me, where if something goes wrong, or it's probably made me the person I am, who expects that at some point something is going to go wrong. So I don't know, maybe tomorrow morning, if one of my family member does die, I do not think I am going to cry about it. I'm just going to be कभी ना कभी होने वाला था. So it might be a bad thing, it might make me a little bit inhuman, it might make me a stone cold person, I don't know, but it is a coping mechanism that I used. And I do feel that when it comes to people, if more people maybe thought like this, people could, like you said, you were in your bed for, I mean, in the sofa for a long time, but maybe if people thought like this, they could move on easily. Maybe the world needs to be a little bit less emotional.
I don't think so. This is something, that I've realized in the past 2.5, 3 years now, is that um, people sometimes don't really understand the grief and the pain that there is until they go through it themselves. And this I'm actually taking from a very recent thing that happened to me, is that someone visited my home and they asked me a simple question. They were like, so have you moved on? And to me, I was like, you're talking about someone who was not only my mother to me, she was also my father, because I've grown up without one. She was my mom, she was my dad, she was kind of like everything, a parental figure person. And the word that they use, right, have you moved on, to me it's like it's not an ex-boyfriend I left, that I've moved on from the pain that they've given me. No, it's loss of a parent. There's this instance, or this incident, sorry, that happened after I lost my mom, is that I was out with Sam somewhere. We were buying a sari blouse, and I, for the life of me, could not figure out what would look good on me. I had the sari, I had the supposed blouse material that came with the sari, but I was like, I don't know whether this would look good on me or it would not look good on me. And this takes me back, why that incident hurt me so much, is because this is something that I would ask my mom. I was like, what do you think? Do you think this would look good for me? Do you think this would look better on me? And I didn't have that. I instead called up Sam's mom and I was like, auntie, what do you think? There is this very clear instance that happened with me, is that I had gone for a wedding to Udaipur and I was sick beyond my mind. While we were traveling back, we were supposed to go to the train station, but I was feeling so sick. I had gotten very bad motion sickness, and that was the first time I had that severe motion sickness, even while traveling by a small car, and we were not on ghats or anything. I called up my mom because I was looking at flight tickets. Flight tickets were like 5.5K, because I was booking it last moment. I was like, and this was somewhere about, I think, 2-3 years back. I called up mom and I was like, Mama, I don't know what, I'm feeling very sick, and we have and I think a bus got cancelled at the last moment. We were supposed to get a replacement bus, and there was no trains available, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm feeling so sick. They are going to give us a replacement bus, but I don't know, it will bring me back, like it will take at least 12 hours minimum, and the flight tickets are like 5.5K. It's too expensive for me. And she said this, she was like, Puta, she spoke to me in Konkani. She's like, Puta, tujhe bolai ki mustu important asa. Your health is the most important thing. You come by flight, I'll pay your flight tickets. You come back, you just come home and I'll take care of you. And that hit me so much is because for a very long time, due to something happened in the past, my mom and I were on a very friction kind of a relationship where I was upset with her for something and she was trying to make amends and I was just not having any of it. But it's the comfort, you know, that comes along with having a mom and having a dad. It's something that she gave me. So I understand that, you know, you are handling your grandfather's loss a completely different way, and that's fine because that's your coping mechanism. I also had a separate one when mom passed away. I was with the sofa for a very long time. I was almost dating the sofa, and then I had this big void, and I tried to put people into this void, like channel my love for my mom in this void through to someone else, and that was not right for the most part because I was not dealing with it. I was not crying about it. I was just I had this, you know, that okay fine, she had to go someday and I knew it was coming because she was not well, right? So I don't think you're inhuman or you're stone cold. I just think it's your way of coping with it. And honestly, I hope this never happens to anyone, but when you experience the loss of a parent or a very close family member, it hits you honestly something different.
So for me, so obviously, like, her mom was like a second mom to me. I don't think I dealt with it at that time. I still remember, so first of all, after my grandfather passed away when I was in 10th standard, I don't like going for funerals. So even this is very, maybe not the best of me, but even when my friends, you know, anyone passes away, you generally go to, you know, visit them or see if they are fine. I used to avoid doing that because after seeing my grandfather's coffin there, so we get the coffin home in Catholics, and seeing him home, like him there, was maybe a little too traumatic for me because, okay, so I have always gotten bad news on call, and it's one of the reasons I am extremely terrified of picking up calls, whether it's from anyone today. So I got my grandfather's news from my dad. This is something I'm actually very upset about with my family for, or my grandmother and my aunt for, because there were two adults in the house. There was me and my cousin. I was in 10th standard, and my dad called up on my aunt's phone, and my aunt refused to pick up the phone, and they gave it to me to pick up the phone. And when I did, my dad was like, give it to them, and I was like, they don't want to, you know, they're not taking the phone. So they were just like, they didn't take it. So my dad told me, yeah, he's not here, he's gone. And I told them, and they were howling, and me and my cousin sister had to deal with it on our own because my grandmother was taking care of her daughter. And this is something I think I've always been upset about with them for, because you left two kids to deal with grief, something that's very new to us, on our own. The other instance where I experienced death closely was when my uncle's dog Rexy passed away. I was maybe in 7th standard when I went to Bahrain, or younger when I went to Bahrain for the first or second time. And my interaction with Rexy is the reason I love animals so much, because I realize how gentle and caring and loving they can be, even when they don't need to use words. And I still remember this day. I was in my third year of college, and it was a free lecture. I was sitting in an almost empty classroom with my two friends, and there were some two other girls over there. And my mom was in Bahrain at this time, and she messages me and tells me that, you know, Rexy is not well, and we are thinking of putting him down because, you know, they have tried medication, they've tried so many things, but, you know, he's just suffering, he's bleeding constantly, and, you know, anywhere he's walking and there's a lot of blood. So I'm sorry if this is a little graphic for anyone, but yeah, he was not doing okay, and you could see he was suffering. And I was so upset about that I read that message and I started crying. And I'm someone who doesn't cry in public or around people I don't know, and it was shattering to, you know, read that message. And I think a week after that, you know, for however long my mom was there, or until they took him to the doctor, I was on video call with him the whole time. And a few months later, when I was looking at his pictures in this video call, I see his happy face, and in my small screen I saw how bitterly I was crying and how rare and shattered I looked in that. And it was traumatic to even see you know, in hindsight, how much of trauma you experienced or how much of sadness you experienced in that one moment. And after that, when Ray's mom had passed, but in the same year, our dogs passed away, Sweetie Brandy. I don't think I took that well at all. So obviously, like, animal deaths are very different, and maybe a lot of people won't relate to it, but those two were my heart and soul, and losing them was not easy at all. So I think already dealing with two griefs that year, I shut off in a way. And Rach called me up when Brandy passed away. Again, it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. I just got up and she called me up, and I like sprinted over here, and you know, then we did whatever we could for them. And then when Rach called me up for her mom, I was coming back from the gym and I was with my friend at that time. And I told her, Rach was just not, she was not telling me what was happening. She just said she's not well, she's not breathing, and she said I'm in the ambulance and all. So I had to come here to be with Ria, and by the time I reached here, we came to know she passed. That news I got on call. Last year I was at Rach's place when we were dressing up to go out actually, and my mom called me up and she's not talking properly, and she's like, "He passed," and I could not understand what she said, and I screamed. And then she said it again, and I told Rach because she was in front of me, and we had to go and tell it to Ria. So that whole scene is so vivid in my head till today. I don't talk much about it because I feel like crying every time I talk about it, and I don't want to, obviously. But it is so traumatic to even think of those days, because you have to keep it together for the people you really care about. Because obviously my cousins have just lost their mom. It's like the whole thing again with Rach and Ria, and I wanted to be there for them. But at the same time, you have to deal with your own stuff. With Rach's mom, I kind of expected it to be in that year or maybe in the next few years. That I don't know how I dealt with it, but I think with it was extremely difficult. But I don't know, I think that's one of the reasons why 2024 was so disturbing, because the whole year after that I was just not doing okay, but I thought it was constantly related to my career. And I think I mentioned this in the last podcast as well, that I was really upset with Nikhil and Rach, because they are the two closest people to me, and they could not see or figure out that I was not doing okay. But again, I don't think it's someone else's responsibility to, you know, figure out if you're okay or not, because yes, there are always people there, but you need to talk to them, you need to open up, and it's not always easy. I shut off for 6-8 months, and I think last year in December I sent Rach a message saying I'm not doing okay, I'm upset with you because you couldn't figure it out, when again she had a lot going on herself, because it was also her godmother. So I was, yeah, I mean, grief is not something that everyone sees the same way. It's not something everyone deals with in the same way. So even if it is shutting off, even if it is not feeling anything, just the act of not feeling is also feeling, if that makes sense.
I mean, maybe I partially do agree with you, because like you said, you know, what one mechanism that you did apply is trying to ignore, or rather trying to not deal with the person who has expired.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there was a part of me that, so in Catholics, like when you take a body to a funeral, you expect the family members to be, or rather the close family members to be the pallbearers, you know, the people who shoulder the body. And my mother literally begged that go and, you know, lend a support. It is your job as, you
Yeah.
know, the oldest male member of the family right now. But I was like, no, he's just he is died, so what is the point of even having a funeral? Like, you know, it was supposed to happen today. What is the use of all these ceremonies and all that we have? Like, it doesn't make sense. I did not see a requirement for it. I was like, okay, the person was there, the person is no more. I expected it, and it's happened now. So I'm not doing it. I feel that it's a useless experience or a useless job for me that you're expecting me to do. But maybe these ceremonies or these rituals, if you would call them, maybe the purpose for them is so that we can be around people who care,
Yeah.
who share that same emotion we are, and maybe sharing that burden kind of lessens what we are feeling at that point of time. And I guess maybe that's what got the two of you all through it as well, Rach had Sam had Rach. We all had someone to share our griefs with. And especially today's generation, what I see is most of them are like, okay, most of them have probably become like me, who are like, okay, that person is gone, it's no more. I don't see a lot of people experiencing emotions. So yeah, that's my end of it. Maybe I'm cold, but that's how I see it.
If I have to remember the experience that I had at mom's funeral, if I had to say what I remember from the funeral, it's honestly just one thing, and it was that my family was there around me, the family that I have through blood and the family that I have chosen over these years. My friends were there, Sam was there, my brother was there, my sister was there, and there was so much immense support from people who knew mom. I I didn't think she knew that many people, but the church was filled. It was filled with people she knew, and them just coming up to me and saying that that she was a great woman. That helped a bit for me in that moment. Another thing that helped me quite a lot in my grieving process was knowing that she's not suffering anymore, because she had to go through a lot in the final months and it was taking a very big toll on her. But knowing that she's not suffering anymore and she can finally be free from all the things that were holding her back is something that made me a little less sad about it.
So, just one thing that I want to say for anyone who is dealing with it, dealing with grief, and if it's not because of any illness or anything and they passed away suddenly, it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. It's valid. I know for a very long time I have hid away from my emotions so much, and to the extent I still do it. But it's something I'm working on, to try and talk, to know that it's okay to feel everything that I'm feeling and nothing at the same time, because sometimes I shut off from my emotions. So that's just one thing I wanted to put out there.
I know everyone deals with grief in different ways, and we hope that us talking about it and sharing our journey will help you in some way. Hopefully you are doing a bit better than us.
Just remember that there are people willing to listen to you if you are willing to open up to them. Thanks for listening to us today, and we hope that you're doing good.